Hey everybody, this is Jeffrey. This is Red Color. And this is Tarot Tuesday. I'm actually doing it on Tuesday, which is incredible. Um, I have the light on, so hopefully it'll be light enough. It's going to rain here. So the next card, the card this week, or this month, or as you're watching, is the Devil. What a card. What a card. What a card. All right. So the Devil, I have to find the card. The Devil is the card of Capricorn. Um, because maybe as you know, or maybe not as you know, the cards go through the order of the zodiac. So, Temperance, which was the last card, is Sagittarius, and next is Capricorn. So, it being the card of Capricorn, Capricorn's a really, really interesting sign because it's dual. I mean, look, Gemini is dual. But the weird thing, or the interesting thing about Capricorn, is that it's a goat fish. It's like, what does that mean? So my interpretation, of course, it's going to be at the bottom of the deck. My interpretation, here we are, finally. Ta-da! All right, and I want to find the lovers because it corresponds. So the goat is the energy of Capricorn or of an individual climbing a mountain, being sure-footed, building something, being tenacious, being cautious, right? You know, because the mountain is craggy and it's like, I got to go this way, I got to go that way. Maybe while it's raining, I'll wait for a minute so it's not slippery, but slow and steady and sure. And it's an earth sign. So earth signs are really good in the earth plane. And then the glyph is it has this weird tail because it becomes a fish. My interpretation of Capricorn is that it's both the goat and the fish, but earlier in its life, in its incarnation, in its journey, it's focused, works, head down, build something, no time for anything but work in a way. And then it becomes the fish, and the fish really relates to the water element. I don't know where the Lovers card is. It relates to the water element. So it has this energy of intuition, of inspiration, of healing, of emotional balance, or being able to understand things from a heart-centered place. So it has both elements to it. It's very interesting. Okay, so it's also, because it's Capricorn, so it's December 21st, 26th, 22nd, give or take. So it's also the winter solstice. And the winter solstice, in the northern hemisphere is when we go into the dark, right? Is when the sun disappears. The sun disappears for a little bit, or it stays very, very low on the horizon for a few days, and then the sun rises again. Not even get into the symbology. So there's a certain darkness and a certain I don't want to, it's not clear, it's in the dark. So there's that element in the card too. If I don't find this card, I'm going to lose my mind. Okay. Now there's no way getting around that this is like a dark card. There's no way getting around it, And I'm usually Mr. Optimism when I read cards, but there's no way to get around that this is dark, in the dark, etc. All right. So basically, it's really about it's about falseness. It's about a false path, a false understanding, a false something that's not quite illuminated. It's not clean. It's obscured. It's hidden. So what the devil is about, and the thing is with the devil especially, I mean, when you're reading it, you have to read the cards around it because that will help you to really interpret it. I can't believe I can't find the lovers. So weird. Because the lovers also have Adam and Eve because it's Adam and Eve. All right. It's fear of success, fear of failure, fear of things in the dark, fear of one's own darkness. I don't read the devil like that. I don't believe in the devil. The devil is this darkness in ourselves, the ego that says, don't go there, don't do that. You can't, you don't belong there. You're not talented enough. You're not whatever enough. It's going to be taken away. It's really, really, really based in fear. Oh, finally. All right. I thought to myself, oh, is my deck not complete? But it is. See, I was in fear. I have notes. All right. So it's self-doubt. It's like low self-esteem. It's negativity, self-deceit. It's a self-deceit. And it's really about concentrating on, like, let's say you have an opportunity to get a job, right? And someone offers you a job and or you're trying to get a job or whatever. Let's say someone offers you a job. Let's just put it like that. So you could either be like, wow, this is exciting. I have the skills, and if not, I'll develop them. Or you can be in this state of, oh, I know this job was offered to me, but I don't really have the skills, and I don't think it's going to work out. Nothing ever works out. And, I'm afraid they offered it to the wrong person, and everybody else is more qualified. Like that's what it's about. That's what the devil's about. It's really, really like the card of fear. It's really the card of fear. Self-pity, fear, self-defeating, self-loathing, self-doubt. There's also an energy in the devil of dependency, of an unhealthy dependency. So the energy of I'm nothing without my job. If this person doesn't love me, I'm not worthwhile. If I'm not this weight, then I'm not worthwhile. If I'm not this sex, if I'm not this nationality, this tribe, like it's so dark. And the thing is, the more you concentrate on the darkness, the darker it gets, right? And so the more you like fall down that road and go deeper and deeper and deeper, like it just gets deeper and deeper, like there's no end to it. There's no end to it. All right. It's about it being insecure. It's a false fear. Um, it's making up excuses so that you don't have to use your courage. It's making up excuses so that you don't have to shine your light. It's making up excuses so that it's like, well, you don't understand, I have to like let's say you're offered some fantastic job and it has all these wonderful benefits and there's everything going for it. And then, you tell yourself, well, it's a longer commute than I thought it was going to be. And so therefore I'm not going to take it because I'm afraid to change. I'm afraid to take a chance. It's like that. Like that's what the devil card's all about. That's what the devil card's all about. I'm afraid I'm not good enough. I'm afraid I'm not worthy. I'm afraid that I've been kicked out of the garden, right? I'm no longer in the light because they're in the garden here. Here they're in the garden. And these cards really like play off each other because it's like they're really opposites in a way. Um, I'm afraid um, if I get the job, I'm going to lose the job. It's like you haven't even started, right? I'm afraid they're not going to like me. It's all that. It's really bad. And like, if you keep yourself in fear, you keep yourself in the dark. When we keep ourselves in fear and in not taking a chance and not really seeing a whole picture, just seeing it from a state of, I don't think I have the skill. I don't, it's not going to work. Nothing ever works for me. Um, I'm not worthy. I'm not, like, that's really what the devil's about. It's a really dark card. It's a really dark card. So the interesting thing is, in the lovers, and they're very related. It's almost like I can't read them without each other. And I know I read the lovers alone. Please check out the whole series. Um, this is about choice. This is about a contract, right, with the divine, with the light. And this is about a choice too. This is about a choice too. And the thing is, like they tell themselves they don't have a choice, but they do. Because if you look really closely, it's, the chains are not tight. The chains are really like you could just go like that. It's like I choose to unburden myself. I choose to unburden myself. I choose to unburden myself from my fear, from telling myself lies, because the devil's a liar. Um, I like that's what it's about. And this is really interesting too. All right. So he's got a torch, right? And he's holding it down. So like into the depths. And like that's the real opportunity here. The opportunity here is like, well, here's the light. So actually I can see my darkness. I can see my fear. I can see the fear. And half the time, um, overcoming a fear or breaking through a fear or working with the fear or transforming the fear, first you have to know what it is. First, you have to know what it is. And, sometimes fear, it becomes it's so, like, it's really interesting, right? So it rains here really, really, like almost every day. And it could be like these amazing thunderstorms. And sometimes they could be really loud, like the thunder and the lightning is pretty dramatic, but even just sitting in the apartment, sometimes the thunder is so loud. And it brings up that primal, you know, I got to get under the bed. Like, it's like, and it's like you can't even really, how can you really describe, like, no matter how old you are, no matter how brave you are, you hear a big clap of thunder, and it's like, oh my God, it could all end right now, right? Even though you've been through it a million times. I mean, I'm not saying, go out in the middle of a hurricane and, see what's happening like fly a kite in the lightning storm. I'm not saying do that, but it's like, what am I being led by? And the fear, it's really a self-imposed fear, because the devil is part of us. It's not something outside of us. It's really that part of us that we don't really like to look at. That part of us that's dark that says, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy, you know, uh, faking it. Uh, like that's what the devil's about. So when you read the devil, when you're doing a reading, so I'll just give you an example. So someone asks, will I get the job? And the devil is one of the cards that you pulled, right? And then you also pull, I'm just giving you examples. 1, 2. All right. All right. This is interesting. So the devil's in the middle, and I didn't even shuffle. The devil's in the middle, right? Which is all this false thing. And it's like, oh my God, everything's going to collapse and everything's catastrophe and nothing ever works for me. And, the minute I get into the tower, it's going to go on fire. That's one part of it, right? Or the fool. Like, I'm, I'm taking a chance. I'm taking a chance. Everything is sunny and lovely. My soul is with me. I have optimism and enthusiasm. Like that's what the choice is with the devil. So you got to read the other cards around it to, maybe shed light on what the fear is or the way through the way. And, I'm not saying that, uh, on a certain level, it's normal to be afraid. But like, we don't like change. Change is new. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. It's like, well, okay, you're afraid, but you got to get out of the house anyway. You got to try for the job anyway. You got to like ask the one out on a date anyway, because that's the way through it. That's the way through it. So it's a really interesting card, but in its positive light, it gives us the opportunity to see where we're telling ourselves a lie, where we're keeping ourselves in the dark, where we're telling ourselves, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that. And it's like, if you go into that much fear, you'll never leave the house. You'll never do anything. You'll never change. You'll never grow. You'll never be curious. You'll never expand. You'll never like, it's like, that's it. That's it. It's like, I'm a little afraid, but I want the job. So I'm going to call them anyway. I'm a little afraid, but unless I ask this person out, I'm never going to, you know, have the opportunity to go out with them. Right? If they say no, okay, so they said no, but it's like, okay, well, I got rid of that fear. And, also like once you look at one fear in the mirror and say, I'm not afraid of you anymore, it's easier for the next one. It's easier to say, oh, so that one said no. Well, maybe this one will say no too, but, maybe the third or fourth or fifth will say yes. So that's what the devil's about. It's really about a false path. It's really about fear, and it's the opportunity, the choice to conquer the fear, or I don't even know if it's necessarily conquer. Sometimes it's just to acknowledge the fear and say, okay, well, I realize that you're there, but I'm going to do it anyway. Right? I'm afraid to go on the roller coaster, but then you get on the roller coaster and you scream and yell, and then it's over, and you go have some cotton candy. Oh, I was afraid to do it, but I did it and it was okay. So it just started raining, and um I went up the right moment, because I went and I made the chairs like this. All right. So I offer private readings. I offer IET. I offer pendulum clearing. And the pendulum clearing can actually help you to, move through fear. Um, And honestly, this is something that I'm dealing with a lot in my life at this moment, because it's always like that with Tarot Tuesdays. It's kind of weird. So my plan is to really sit down with myself and say, okay, what is it that I fear and why? Because once you know kind of what you're dealing with, then you have more of a, you can make a plan. You set a parameter. You see how big it actually really is. Because the monster in the closet is always much scarier until you open the closet door, and then you know what you're dealing with. And then you realize the monster is this big, or maybe the monster wasn't there, maybe it's just in my head, or one that you've dealt with before. It's like, oh, I've slayed you before, I could slay you again. So, but if you don't open the door, the fear says don't open the door, right? If you don't open the door, then you don't know what you're dealing with. And it's like, I got to get into that door to deal with this so that I can move forward. All right. That is my take on the devil. That is my take on the devil. So actually, even though it's a dark card, it's an opportunity to really look at the darkness in ourselves. It's interesting that it comes up right after the temperance card. The temperance rebalances and heals you. And sometimes once you're healed of one thing, something else comes up to be brought up into the light. Very interesting. Anyway, so I mean, that's what the IET, actually does sometimes. Like it brings up some darker stuff, and it's like, oh, this is what was hiding behind my anger. This is what was hiding behind my grief. This is what was hiding behind my self-righteousness. Oh, right. That's what the devil, that's what's going on with that card. So, and it's a process, so we're on the path, and that's the process. Anyway, so I offer all kinds of services. Please like the video. Please watch the whole series. Please become a member. Please become a subscriber. Contact me for a reading. Buy art. Blessings.